My name is John Passfield, and the title of this reading will be John and Lewis Carroll Video 8, The Caterpillar's New Story. So here's my book, John and Lewis Carroll, Wonderfall. There's a picture of John on the cover. A door opens up in John's backyard. I'll read the summary in a moment. There are faces peering up at him from the dark, eyes peering up at him from the dark. Here's the summary. As John the writer sits beside his pond, polishing a chapter of his new book, a door opens up in the grass, and the characters from Alice in Wonderland and Alice Through the Looking Glass peer up at him from the darkness. John tumbles down, down, down through a hole in the ground to Wonderland, where the characters are busy rehearsing scenes for a third Alice book, which they hope John will persuade their author to write. But what if their author, Lewis Carroll, has other ideas? Now, I'd like to hold up another book. This is the book I'm drawing on. You can write an essay in response to reading a book, but you can also write another book. To a work of fiction, you can respond by writing fiction. So this is the annotated Alice. Annotated simply means there's explanations by note of various things in the book. But it contains the two Alice books that Lewis Carroll wrote. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. I'll move the elastic a little bit. And Through the Looking Glass. So there were only two. John tumbles back through a time tunnel, I guess you could say. And the Alice characters are all getting a little tired of the roles they have in these two books. And they would like John to persuade Lewis Carroll to write a third Alice book. So, a number of stories are told to John during his interaction with the characters in Wonderland. One story is the one that was made up by the whole group of Alice characters. That's for a separate reading. Another story is a story that Lewis Carroll, their author, would like to write. That's for a separate reading. And there's a whole series of stories, each one told to John by a separate character, as each Wonderland character takes John aside, which the individual characters would like Alice to write. So for this reading in Chapter 7, the caterpillar tells John of the story that he would like to be the centerpiece, perhaps the only story in the next Lewis Carroll book. So let's have a look then. Let's go to Chapter 7, which is on page 45, in which the caterpillar tells John of the story that he would like to see as the centerpiece, perhaps the only story of the next Alice book, should there be one. "Look here, John," Caterpillar saying, "this is me as a caterpillar. I want you to convey this to our author. This is what I would call stage 1. All is mime, just description, no dialogue or plot. Just me, set to music, nothing is happening as it would seem, but inside me, there's plenty going on." I stand beside the caterpillar. He's drawn me behind a bush. He looks to see whether anyone observes. He's showing me a vision. The scene unfolds before our eyes. "Come closer, John. I want you, when you see our author, to be knowledgeable enough to pass along the word." So a couple of pages after that first scene of imagery which comments on that scene, which I won't read. And here we are with the second scene of John and the caterpillar. "Here I am again, John," the caterpillar continues. "This is what I'm calling my chrysalis stage. Brooding music, again, no action. With me is all inside the mind. I'm trapped, enclosed, buried in a sort of tomb. You've heard of Dante, St. John perhaps, the dark night of the soul? Deeper music, anxious, fearful, groping frantically in the dark. Please convey all this to our author, John. Are you musical at all? I'm hoping you have a sense of rhythm, a sense of mood. Perhaps if you'll hum a little bit as you convey the magnificent concept, hum or whistle a chrysalis theme, he'll get what I mean. He can hire someone to write the music as he did with the earlier books. Perhaps the notes, John, could be printed on the page. Oh, look here, John, something's happening. Will I ever break my bonds, burst into fruition, come into my legacy? become what every pulse of nature intends me to be? Well, that's scene 2, and we get a couple more pages of imagery, again, which comment on the scene, and then we get the third scene of John and the caterpillar. Now this will be spectacular, John. Readers will talk about this for sure. The caterpillar's explaining his vision to me. Swelling music, flutes and kettle drums, trumpets announcing the birth of me. See me emerging from my chrysalis, spreading my wings and flying away? The sunlight lighting me up as I flap and soar and dive? I'd say about halfway through the novel, better yet, about 2/3. The life, the descent, the life reconfigured, reconstituted, redefined. There's life, there's death in life, and then there's life come back again. Every book should make a pilgrimage to the underworld, John. Every book should glue and feather a set of wings. A golden nugget, John, this is, to give to our author so grateful soon to be. Oh, I hope you can help convey the awe. If you're any good at mime, John, you could soar inspiringly above our author's head as you spread your newfound, new-sprouted, freedom-conferring wings. You could take a glorious turn, a victory lap, John, gliding, swooping, fluttering around the ceiling of his room. And by the way, John, there's something that the other characters must always keep in mind. They will all be in the new Alice book, John. Fair enough, I'm sure you'll agree, but they must understand, John. They must buy into the spirit of the overall schematic design. That they will be there not to exhibit their own talents, but to lend support as foils in the highlighting of the gem of a central idea. They will be like the crowd on Guy Fawkes Night, John. Faces ruddy in the glow, exhibiting a sense of wonder, John, that such a thing. Nothing less than my personal apotheosis, John, should actually come to pass. Of course, each will have his moment. Each will try to outdo the others, using their faces to reflect their emotions like magic lantern screens, and presenting the splendor, the mystery, the amazement that one must feel when one beholds my transformation from, well, essentially from one of them, one of the crowd, one of the pack, to what is, will depict, will be, I say it modestly, one of the foremost resplendent wonders of the world. Be sure to make our author aware, John, of the visual splendor, of the ocular magnificence, of the physically textured rendering of my spectacular return to life, of the sunlight enhancing the colors of my wings, incandescing them, literally, John, as I take to the air. Oh, and colored ink, John, colored ink, every letter a different color. It will be worth the extra expense for the flying scene. Oh, I can practically hand him the book. Tell him my scenes are as good as written. He'll barely have to lift the pen. Tell him I've thought of every word he'll need to write. So that's the caterpillar's story as he takes John aside in Wonderland. In an earlier video presentation, when I read the Mad Hatter's conception of his story that he would like to be the central one, perhaps the only one, in the proposed third Alice novel, I said that there were two tendencies in human beings, which I would sum up as perhaps the greatest book title ever invented: war and peace. The human being, two tendencies: to make war, to make peace. In reading from this chapter, the story that the caterpillar hopes will be as central, or it would seem the only story in the proposed novel, I would say perhaps the two most compelling urges in the human being are something else. I think that every human being feels a need to connect with other people, to be part of a family, to be part of a team in a workforce, to be part of one's community, to be part of one's religion, to be part of one's culture and one's nation, to be part of a world community. On the other hand, though, here's the other tendency. It's only natural to feel that one is a unique human being, that one's destiny is to fulfill one's own personal potential as a human being, independently of any of our group identities. It's quite natural, I assume, to feel that one is at the center of a very special enterprise and that all the people that one interacts with, in one's family, at one's workplace, at one's place of religion, and the many other places where we take part in group activities, that all the other people are supporting players in our story. It's natural to feel that the best role of one's fellows is to show appreciation for our own personal uniqueness. To me, this novella, John and Lewis Carroll, Wonderfall, is a humorous novella with a serious purpose. Perhaps some of the stories that the Alice characters hope will be the central story of the proposed third Alice novel are more serious than others, and perhaps some of the stories are a little less serious than others. About the seriousness of the frivolity of the dreams of the caterpillar, it's hard to decide. So let's leave it at that and simply say that this is my novella, John and Lewis Carroll, Wonderfall. It's found on Amazon, where there's more information. It's found on my publisher's website, which is roxmillspress.com. On my website, johnpassfield.ca, there are two free books. One is a planning notebook, which I wrote when I was planning and writing the novella, all the thoughts that I could think of while I was doing so. And the other is a reflective journal, which I wrote while I was polishing the novella, all the thoughts that I was thinking about when I had a complete version of the book in front of me. So if you're interested in writing and the thoughts of a writer who has written a book, who is writing a book in the planning notebook, who has written a book in the journal, have a look at those. They're free. All you do is click on the cover icon at johnpassfield.ca. Lastly, I'll say thank you for watching this video.